From Arnold Allen refusing to bet against the champ, to Henry Cejudo lauding his gas tank for a 5-round battle, this is why experts predict Alexander Volkanovski will retain his title against Yair Rodriguez. The Almighty isn't gonna go against the Aussie champ, cause he believes only a fool is gonna bet against the man. According to Allen, Volk's probably gonna outwork the Mexican. He'll nullify his attacks, shut him down, and beat him up in the latter rounds. Having said that, it's impossible not to get marked up against a guy like Yair, cause the interim champ is like a grenade. Volk can't expect to just wrestle him and hold him down, cause Rodriguez will be throwing elbows constantly. And he's got a great bag of submissions too, if things go to the ground. Arnold also revealed that Yair's really explosive with his hips, so Alex can't just sit in his guard, cause apart from the elbows, Yair is always looking to sink in triangles too. Then there's his weird striking that Volk needs to look out for as well. The Mexican can throw strikes from really awkward angles, and that's helped him find success in the past as well. Regardless of Yair's creativity in the octagon, Volk will surely have an answer for everything that Rodriguez throws at him. The Almighty will be looking at the fight very closely, cause he too wants to make a run for the title despite his loss to Max Holloway. But many other fighters are also watching, cause of what this fight could mean for the featherweight division. The great Aussie certainly is the clear favorite heading into this match, and almost everyone agrees with that. Bryce Mitchell, another featherweight contender, weighed in on the fight. He thinks that Volk is just too clever in the octagon, and while the champ may not be as athletic as Yair, he knows exactly what to do in a fight. Johnny Walker shares the same sentiment, and he thinks that Alex is just one of the best fighters on the UFC roster. Rob Font, Matthew Semmelsberger, Joseph Holmes, and many other pros are picking Volk to get the job done at International Fight Week. It just speaks to how great the Aussie is in the octagon, cause no one really wants to go against him. Not only that, several experts still have Volk as the best pound-for-pound fighter, even though John Jones is back on the rankings. The man's just unstoppable in the cage, and he always comes in with a great game plan for all his fights. On top of that, he knows how to execute it to perfection. Even light heavyweight legends such as Anthony Smith and Zach Cummings look up to Volk, cause of how tough the man is and how good his fundamentals are. To be honest guys, I'm not really surprised that almost everyone is picking Alex at UFC 290. The champ has been unbeaten as a featherweight, and the only blemishes on his record are a fight at welterweight back in the day and the loss to Islam Makhachev at 155 on UFC 284. But at 145, the great is untouchable. During Volk's reign as the champ, he's beaten Holloway thrice and defended his title against killers like Brian Ortega and the Korean Zombie. There was absolutely no one left in the division who could have challenged him. And that's why Dana White gave him a free pass to do whatever he wanted to, and he chose to chase that double champ status. That didn't work out for him, but the fact that people are saying that he was robbed of a win against Islam speaks for itself. Yair was fighting Josh Emmett on the undercard on the same night as Volk's UFC debut as a lightweight, and El Pantera later revealed that it was actually Alex who pushed for that interim title fight at featherweight, just so he would have someone to fight when he came back down to his own division. Now that he has a clear challenger to fight, you can bet your house on it that he's gonna slay if he needs to reclaim that undisputed title. Volk has beaten every great featherweight to walk the octagon, and has done so convincingly. It's his lack of weakness that's allowed him to be so dominant. Alex has the ability to outstrike phenomenal boxers such as Holloway and Jose Aldo, and he's effectively dealt with the grappling threats of Ortega and Makhachev. If you think about it, there are absolutely no holes in his game, and it's not like he's boring or trying to run down the clock either. As far as I can remember, the Aussie has always shown up to entertain, even though he may not be one of the best finishers on the roster. In fact, he enjoys taking the fight to his opponents, and the man certainly isn't afraid of getting hit at all. On the ground, he's excellent at shaking off any submission attempts too. I'm sure you guys remember how he rode out T-City's guillotine attempt. and how he was laughing with Islam on his back, trying to sink in a rear naked choke. Sure, Volk's got no neck, but that works in his favor. Better yet, he knows how to use it in his favor. It doesn't matter how bad of a position he might be stuck in. He just finds a way to make it work for himself somehow. But don't get me wrong here, guys. Yair can get the job done. He's got all the right tools and has that unpredictability that all great fighters have. No wonder he's one of the most exciting athletes on the roster right now, since his creativity keeps fans hooked. As I said before, he can throw the weirdest strikes from very awkward angles, which makes him so dangerous to deal with. El Pantera isn't the same guy who fought in The Ultimate Fighter all those years ago. He's really leveled up his game since. I mean, submitting a heavy, muscular like Emmett with a triangle choke off his back was just insane. Confidence will also be key in this matchup. Yair won't be walking into the octagon as a simple challenger. Instead, he'll be there as the interim champ, which can make all the difference in the world. You all know how sublime he can be inside the cage, but the confidence might just give more fluidity to his already crazy striking. That's why Volk isn't sleeping on Yair, because he knows how dangerous the Mexican can be with his versatility. El Pantera is one of those guys who does everything in his power to keep the decision away from the judge's hands, so he's always pushing forward to end the fight. The Aussie discussed this when he was talking to Oscar Willis of the Mac Life, and he even admitted that Yair's one of the most dangerous fighters he'll ever step into the octagon against. All of that unpredictability, combined with the knockout power, is what sets the interim champ apart from the rest of the contenders. Yair's performances against Emmett and Brian Ortega didn't go unnoticed by the great, so he's really excited about the new challenge he'll have to overcome. Alex also talked about how he's been preparing for the fight ever since there were talks of the match being in the works, and has identified some of the chinks in the Mexican's armor. Volk believes that Rodriguez prefers to fight at range, because he does well there with the flashy stuff he's so good with. The champ then quickly clarified that Yair's looking better everywhere than he was in the past. But you guys can expect Alex to utilize some of that wrestling he picked up in preparation for Makhachev. That was how Max Holloway was able to defeat El Pantera. And it's safe to assume that Volkanovski would be looking to use a similar game plan. The odds may be stacked against Yair, because even Triple C has some doubts over how the 5 rounds are gonna play out. Of course, Cejudo isn't gonna leave his boy out to dry like that, so he advised the Mexican to invest in his leg kicks early. The height advantage, coupled with how devastating those low kicks can be, might just help Yair to do something. The former double champ thinks that's the only way that Rodriguez will be able to do something, because it's a 5-round battle at the end of the day, and you all know how Volk comes out in the championship rounds. It's as if the man has a bionic set of lungs, because he never tires. But the leg kicks can be the deciding factor when the fight goes to the later stages, since they're sure to drain Volk more than anything. He'll have trouble standing up straight and would be forced to think about it a lot more. And that's when Yair can open up on Alex's face. Apart from that, Cejudo really doesn't see any other way that Yair can win the fight. So, from Henry Cejudo lauding his gas tank for 5 rounds, and Arnold Allen refusing to bet against the great Volk, this was why experts predict Alexander Volkanovski will retain his title against Yair Rodriguez.